Jerry Givens from Virginia was actually the person who would execute people in Virginia. And he has executed 62 people. He made a career out of it. And he is now an activist against the death penalty. Now, the reason why he's an activist against the death penalty is because he came very close to executing a man who was proven innocent, okay? So that was a life-changing situation for him because he realized, oh my God, we're sentencing people to death when we're not absolutely 100% sure that they are guilty of the crime. The reason why he was in favor of the death penalty to begin with is also really fascinating because he witnessed a woman get murdered in front of him. He was at a party, this girl he was interested in was standing by a window, and someone who had a gun opened fire and just started shooting randomly and shot and killed this person in front of him. So that was etched in his memory, and that's why he was motivated to do what he did for a career. But when he realized that we're convicting people, wrongfully convicting people, he changed his mind.
But there was another twist to that story, isn't there? There
is a twist to that story. So he was convicted himself, not of murder, but for money laundering, and he served 4 years in prison for it. Now he maintains his innocence. So, you know, he says that he doesn't do it, but he didn't do it, but he did serve 4 years in prison for it. And
I think that's more relevant. I'll be honest with you. I don't believe it.
But he didn't face a death penalty for it.
No, I know. But the minute you go to prison, all of a sudden you can understand what prisoners are going through. Especially if he was innocent, then all of a sudden he goes, "Oh my God, I get it. You could be innocent." Yeah, but that's what they were telling you for decades, right? And you didn't believe it, and then all of a sudden, until it happened to you, it's not. You know, I don't know the man's politics. Obviously, I mean, this is something that Republicans do all the time, which is, oh my God, it turns out, like, for example, some Republican politicians are crooked, they'll go to jail, and then they'll lobby for prison reform. They're like, you know how bad it is in prison? I didn't know that. Yeah, well, look at that. It turns out once you lived it, all of a sudden you have empathy for those people. Now, again, this is not about Republican or Democrat. I don't know that guy's politics at all. But I think that once he thought he was innocent, it changed his views on executing 62 people.
Yeah, that could be true. And you know what? Maybe the fact that he experienced that is what he needed. You know, if that's what it took for him to change his mind, then I'm totally fine with that. If firsthand experience is what was necessary, I'm totally fine with that. The important thing is he realizes that this is the wrong way to go about, you know, justice in this country. Mm-hmm. So I'm totally in favor of him changing his mind. And I do like the fact that the country's changing when it comes to the death penalty. People aren't as vengeful when it comes to these individuals.
And again, look, I don't mind you being vengeful. And I get that first story about how he saw that girl get shot in front of him. I empathize with that greatly. I just want you to be vengeful on the right guys.
Right.
You know, and honestly, I was wrong about it. Because now, look, I always say, well, since I believe this position, we have since then found out that we're executing the wrong people because of the DNA testing, right? But I should have known before. Really? We were going to get it exactly right? We were going to be perfect? And it was part of the naivete of my youth, where I actually believed that cops did their jobs and prosecutors were honest people.
That corruption was a rarity?
Yeah, and that corruption was a real rarity. Mm-hmm. Until I, learned a lot more and read a lot more news and realized, oh, that's ridiculous. No, people are petty and all they care about is their own careers. And if somebody gets executed so that they can notch another victory in their belt, they don't give a shit. It's sick how, indifferent people are so often.
The really fascinating thing about Givens is that he turned to God, okay? And I know you're gonna rant against that, but I like that he did, because he started focusing on, what Christianity really teaches. And this is a point that I've always tried to make about conservatives. You're conservative, you believe in your religion, right? Your religion is against the death penalty. And he noticed that. He's like, wait a minute, this is what the Bible really says. You're not supposed to go after people, you're supposed to forgive people, you're not supposed to kill them.
Say it with me.
Okay.
Of course!
I know, but I love that he came to that realization, because a lot of people don't.
I'm totally against this guy. No, look, it reminds me of Randall Duke Cunningham, who found Jesus on his way to his jail cell. Like, meanwhile, he was full of it anyway. I mean, I trust this guy more than I trust Duke Cunningham, but he had thrown out the laundry bag full of cash into his front yard before he went and did the press conference, all weepy. Oh my God, Jesus!
I think you're being unfair to him, to be honest with you. Because look, you just admitted that you were naive about prosecutors and you were naive about our justice system. And you know what? He was naive about it as well. And then he realized that, you know what? We're killing innocent people.
It didn't take me being put in jail. It didn't take me being in a similar situation before I figured it out. Well, my eyes were opened by evidence. The articles I read, not just about the people we had executed wrongly, but about how often prosecutors and cops would be corrupt, how they did it systematically against minorities in the country. And as a minority in the country, he should be a hell of a lot more aware of that, especially in Virginia, which is in the South. So, I mean, I don't want to be a total jerk to him, but at the same time, it's a little late after 62 executions. Now, it doesn't matter, those people would have been executed anyway. It's not like he was the pivotal thing. Like, he was the last step in that wrong.
I know. He's definitely remorseful, and he's dedicating his life to speaking out against the death penalty.
All right. No, I know. I should do the Christian thing. Forgive.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Right, because I'm not Christian. Okay. And by the way, what I was going to say earlier is Jesus Christ executed, got the death penalty. So that would be one good reason for Christians to be opposed to the death penalty, if you're an actual Christian.